Welcome. It's indisputable. I'm your host, Rashad Richey. Good to be with you. We have a lot on the agenda to cover today. Breaking down news with me, none other than the incomparable Sharon Reed, host, commentator, Rebel HQ contributor, superstar, also host of the Sharon Reed Show. Always a fascinating analysis. First story of the day, hell of a thing. According to a student, her college professor physically harassed her. According to the professor, it was the other way around. I'm going to provide you the video and some insight and let you decide. Here it is.
Why did you remove the report? You're attacking me. She's attacking the teacher. Yes.
Thank you so much.
You're attacking me.
So go ahead. I told you about that. Okay, send the tape out of my hand. I'm going to report. You don't have to report it. I'm going to report it. You attacked me, bitch. You're done. You attacked me. I'm reporting you. You attacked me. Thank you so much. Thank you for the report. You can send that to me. Please send me the tape. No, you hit me after I started.
She did not hit you. You grabbed the paper.
You didn't see her hit me? We don't.
You grabbed the paper from her.
You didn't. So when I was signing my attendance, you didn't see her grab the paper? You didn't see me? You didn't see her just hit me just now?
I just saw you grab the paper from her.
Okay.
I understand you're mad.
No.
I understand you're frustrated.
This is not what you're gonna do. When I was signing the attendance, she grabbed it out of my hand.
I understand, but the behavior.
When I was gonna write 8 a.m. on it, she hit me. So you didn't see that, but you don't. Listen, I understand. But you didn't see what she hit me, right? You didn't see that, right? You didn't see what she hit me just now. You didn't see that. But you see when I grabbed the paper, you didn't see what she hit me.
I'm not picking any sides.
Your professor just
listen,
hit me.
Listen.
You're saying, oh my gosh, you grabbed the attendance. She hit me just now. But nobody's seen that. Nobody's seen that this lady hit me just now.
I don't pick any sides. I'm frustrated.
What side you're picking. She hit me because of some attendance. Now I'm reporting this bitch. You're done, bitch. You're done. You want to hit me?
Send me the
Can you please send me the video too? If you're not picking sides, if that's okay. If you're not picking sides, you would send me the video too. Because she just hit me.
We have more information now just to properly contextualize what you see so far. In the beginning of this video, we see the student seemingly walking away and the teacher touching, maybe pushing, at the end of a push perhaps, the student. We don't see anything more than that. But we do know that the one witness who recorded clearly said initially that the student was assaulting the teacher. And then when the student provided a narrative as to what happened, that student said, she hit me, do you remember? You're not gonna say anything? And all of a sudden the witness says, well, I'm not taking sides here, okay? But you already took sides. You already said the teacher was being assaulted. And then you said, oh, when presented with other information that clearly everybody else must have seen, you're not taking sides now. All right, let's do this. She, the student who was allegedly attacked, provided insight. Here it is.
She's attacking the teacher.
All for the situation alone, this is why I took a break off of school. This is Professor Chen, an algebra professor in SUNY Old Westbury that assaulted me. I filed a report with the police department. They didn't do anything. I spoke to multiple people. They didn't do anything. I went to HR. They didn't do anything. But the school basically used these evidence against me and said that I was endangering the classroom. So basically, quick story time. I was going to drop this class because I am terrible at math and I had no hope in her class. So I spoke to her prior, like 2 weeks ago, telling her, like, I'm not confident in your class. Like, what's the next steps? Like, should I still keep coming or should I just drop the course? This is kind of basically when I was over it and I kind of stopped coming to her class. So when I finally came this day, I'm like, oh, I'm coming to school on time. Let me try to make an effort. Let me actually try to see if I could grasp anything from this class. I came to school early that day at 8 o'clock. That's when class started. I put my stuff down and I went to the bathroom. When I came back, class was already in session. She was doing her lesson and she was teaching the class. So I waited after class to sign the attendance sheet. And she asked me, why am I signing the attendance sheet late? I told her that because she was doing her lesson, I didn't want to get up in the middle of the class. So I waited till class was over to sign the sheet. She didn't ask me what time I came in. I told her that I came in at 8. Then Professor Chen told me that she's going to be marking me late for signing the attendance sheet late. Just for context, I just told y'all I made it to this class on time after, just not being there for weeks. So I explained that to her. I was like, I came in at 8. I put myself down and I was sitting throughout your whole class. Did you not see me sitting? Her response was, I'm marking you late. So usually when Professor Chang marks people late, she allows you to write what time you came in. So she writes late on the sheet and I try to write what time I came in. As I'm trying to write 8 o'clock, Professor Chen snatches the attendance sheet out of my hand and snatches the pen that I was writing with out of my hand.
Okay, that is the narrative so far. Now, let me offer a few things for context. I've been a professor since 2016. Trying to beat a student with an attendance pen is punitive and petty. Who cares if you're late? It is on you to receive the information being taught. Now, if you can pass my final exam and be in class late every day or miss weeks and still do great on the final exam, hell, we need to go ahead and give you a Genius Award. That's some fascinating intellect you have that should be rewarded. But the bottom line is, I don't know any professor who engages in a damn attendance record. It's not high school or elementary, it's college. There's more.
I'm a student, I'm professional. I'm not gonna just scream on you or jump on you. So as I'm asking her very calmly, why did you snatch that out of my hand? She's ignoring me. She's saying she's not gonna talk about my attendance with me. And she goes, like, she's not speaking to me now. She proceeds to speak to other students. And as I'm asking her, like, this is a matter about my attendance. This relates to the class. She's telling me she's not talking about it. So now other students, which are not the same color as me, were in the classroom asking her questions related to the subject or whatever the case may be. As I'm speaking, the student's speaking over me and she's literally ignoring the fact that I'm trying to fix my attendance. So now she pulls out the same attendance sheet for another student. And I saw the opportunity to write that I came in at 8 a.m. on the dot. And when I try to take the attendance sheet, Professor Chen hits me. She hits me twice. And then after she hits me, she screams, record, record. So now that she screams, record, record, I'm literally backing up. That's when I'm backing up and you could see her running after me. Then the student says, I'm attacking the professor. It's not funny, but it's the fact that I really had to take a break because this caused so much trauma. And I just felt alone, attacked, and like no one was on my side. The fact that there was probably 3 or 4 students in a classroom that completely disregarded the beginning of how it all started to watching this professor chase me and grab onto my clothing and to point at me in the video and say that I'm attacking the professor, I was super confused.
Yeah, put up the picture full mass. I believe you. There are many who believe you. And the fact that you went to HR, you filed a complaint, you went to the police, and nothing happened is indicative that something happened. Let me explain that. If you actually did attack this teacher, the warrant for the arrest would be in your name now. The school would have absolutely pressed charges. This is a major, major crime on any college campus to have a student physically assault a professor. The university senate, made up of the university professors, we would not have stood for that. But if there's some BS in the story, everybody acts as if nothing happened. Oh, we can't do anything. You were the aggressor. Well, if that's the case, she committed a criminal act against a sitting professor. And here's another thing. The reason why those students likely did not have your back, dear sister, is because just as this professor is being petty with you, they assume that professor will be petty with them. A Black New York college student is going viral after posting a video showing an altercation between her and a math professor that started with a dispute about attendance, not academics. not performance and education, not even about life. Attendance. The student was there. I'm thankful that you were. A dispute started, escalated into an alleged assault. The student, who goes by @ke.barbie on TikTok, posted a video explaining the moments leading to the confrontation at the State University of New York at Old Westbury in Long Island. The student said she spoke with the professor weeks before the altercation to share her plans to drop the course. One morning, after taking time away from the class, she said she showed up before the 8 a.m. lecture began, put her belongings down, and then went to the bathroom. Both the student and professor reported the incident. The student said her complaint was disregarded by school administrators and students who witnessed the altercation. All right, now, I want to say this to you, dear sister. Don't allow this adverse person and this adversarial scenario stop you from achieving your goals in higher education, okay? If you need some assistance, you can contact us at the show. I will be happy to provide some. I know some people, good folk in that area that you're in. This is the other dynamic to the university. Where's the official statement from the university? Because now I'm going to have to get one because you have not provided one. If you have done a proper investigation, the conclusive statement should be no problem. The summary should be no problem. If you all have not even done an investigation, that is a problem. We shall see. Sharon, hell of a thing. I believe the system. I believe it.
I do too. And I'm going to tell you something. The professor is a Karen, likes control, surrounded by Karen assisters, and familiar with these kinds of people. Like you said, they probably felt the head Karen in charge was going to then attack them if they didn't side with her. Likely did not look like the accused. And remember, it's always the person who is reacting to the disrespect, or in this case, the alleged domestic violence, that is suddenly to blame for everything. It's pathetic. College, you pay for it. If you don't make full use of it, like you said, Doc, that's on you. It's ridiculous.
Really is. We're going to stay on top of this story. My production team will send out the proper correspondence in order to have a statement on record. But if you do not, we will obviously do a follow-up. All right. Kanye West, has been accused of sexual harassment by his former assistant. Put it up for a mass. A lot of twists and turns here. So a woman who worked for Kanye West's personal and executive assistant is suing him for sexual harassment and wrongful termination. That's according to TMZ. The outlet reported on Monday that the lawsuit claims that the rapper would send her inappropriate text messages and pleasure himself during phone calls with her on the phone. A former OnlyFans model, Miss Lauren, because her first name, was hired by West in July 2021 on the promise that he would pay her a $1 million salary if she deleted her account to become God-like. You see, all right, let me continue. Giuliani did something like that too. Anyway, that's according to TMZ. But their relationship deteriorated quickly after West began sending her sexual messages. One allegedly read, "Is my racist? It is. This racist of mine. I'm going to stare at pictures of white women and black and beat the out of my racist." All right. So obviously she retained the text messages for her to be able to quote them so directly and detailed. Not just this, but according to Lauren, also claims he would pledge himself during phone conversations with her and ask if she could hear or guess what he was doing. And she claims he was fixated on his size, on the size of her boyfriends, not his own. There's more. He also sent her sexual videos, including at least 2 in which he had sex with a model, according to the suit. She alleges she was fired in October 2022. And although she accepted a severance package, which was pretty high, of $3 million, the payout never materialized. So this is a very similar dynamic happening with McMahon in the WWE suit. There was a severance package. They decided not to pay it for some reason, or pay partial and not pay the rest. So similar situation here. A lawyer for West did not immediately respond to TMZ's request for comment. They're trying to get their stories together. Prior to Adidas ending their partnership with Kanye, several former high-ranking employees of Yeezy sent the scathing letter to the executive board members and newly installed CEO of Adidas, urging them to address, quote, the toxic and chaotic environment that Kanye West created and the very sick pattern of predicious behavior toward women, and who worked under his leadership. West, as part of the Yeezy-Adidas partnership, he has, in years past, exploded at women in the room with offensive remarks and would resort to sexually disturbing references when providing design feedback. This type of response from a brand partner is one that Adidas employees should never be subjected to, nor should Adidas leadership ever tolerate. So previously, we covered a lawsuit filed by a former employee. NBC News reported that Ye is accused of spreading anti-Semitic conspiracy theories in front of his staff and children at the academy had at one point. So this troubled a lot of people, obviously. This was an LA area private Christian school during a meeting in which he also allegedly expressed wanting to shave students' heads and lock them in cages. In a text message to the former employee, Trevor Phillips, Ye compared himself to Hitler, minus the gas chambers, and appeared to simulate masturbation during a one-on-one meeting with the Southern California hotel room where the musician watched the Batman on mute, according to a 47-page suit filed in Los Angeles Superior Court. The suit accuses Kanye, or formerly known as Kanye West, of calling out Black people in a discriminatory manner, praising the Nazi leader, pushing employees to do renovations without permits, telling employees they could be fired for being fat. He temporarily stiffed workers after Adidas cut ties with the rapper over his anti-Semitic comments when bank accounts at the rapper's clothing brand Yeezy had been frozen. In the last venture, Kanye West appeared to confirm reports that he has plans to launch an adult entertainment studio on Wednesday. The Vulture's rapper tweeted a 6-second clip with the word Yeezy is coming, while the voice directed viewers to go to Yeezy.com. On Tuesday, West and his partners were reported to be in advanced talks to get the adult film brand launched. The studio, TMZ was the first to report the news, stating that the rep for Yeezy said the studio will be part of an adult entertainment division at parent company Yeezy, and that West had been in contact with Stormy Daniels. Of course, we have to add that it's just like they're making stuff up as they go along, but all of this is actually true, allegedly. Mike Moss to discuss leading a new venture. I'm just going to talk about the allegation. So I would expect if an attorney filed this suit and provided exacting commentary that these text messages were somehow preserved. And well, there's a problem, power differential and more. The reality is this: a lot of individuals who have power in corporate industries or don't feel as if they can talk to people, especially women, any kind of way, to share things that are very personal, private, and intimidating. Makes people uncomfortable, offended even. No problem. It seems as if this behavior was at least acknowledged on some level, because you don't give your personal assistant $3 million without there being a reason, or signing a document saying that you will and then not paying later. So that tells me there's some there for sure. All right. That's a lot. All right, Sharon, thoughts here.
Kanye West is getting on my nerves, and I realize that's not really a sophisticated response, but he's irritating me, and I don't mean to dismiss his mental health issues like many people have them. I see his addiction to porn, which I believe he is. I believe he's even admitted that in the past, as all part of his chart, if you will. And he's acting out and being ridiculous with people because that's sometimes what people in this condition do. But I will end with the way I began. He's getting on my nerves, Doc. He's really getting on my nerves.
Well, it looks like he's going to be getting on all of our nerves because this is definitely not the end of the story.
No.
All right, we'll bring you updates as to come. We knew this would happen. Witness tampering. Let's call it what it is. Put up the picture full mask. Trump trial. Per an extensive ProPublica report. 9 witnesses, 7 are pictured right there. In the criminal cases against former President Donald Trump, they have all received significant financial benefits, including large raises from his campaign, severance packages, new jobs, a grant of shares and cash from Trump's media company. As ProPublica notes, in their reporting, attempts to exert undue influence on witnesses have been repeated. It's a repeated theme of Trump-related investigations and criminal cases over the years. All right, top left to right, you got Boris Ifstein, Trump campaign advisor, benefit paid more than double. He got double for the trouble after the indictment. Margot Martin, trade aid, benefit, got a 20% raise. Jennifer Little, Trump attorney, benefit, payments to a law firm dramatically increased. Alan Weisselberg, Trump organization executive, lucrative severance package. From the bottom, left to right. Susie Wiles, head of Trump campaign, the benefit, payments to her political consulting firm spiked. Campaign also decided to hire her daughter. Dan Scavino, after the indictment, benefit, appointed to board of Trump Media and even Cochran, Trump lawyer, benefit payments to his law firm dramatically went up. Everybody got paid more money. So after the indictment, everyone gets just a lot more money. At least the person that got the severance package said, I'm out of here. All right, the benefits have flowed from Trump's businesses and campaign committees. That's according to a ProPublica analysis and public disclosures. This stuff is hard to get, by the way. Some of this stuff is very difficult to put together, which means they likely did not get it all right? According to the analysis, one campaign aide had his average monthly pay double from $26,000 to $53,500. Not bad for 30 days. Another employee got a $2 million severance, barring him from voluntarily cooperating with law enforcement, which, by the way, is illegal. All right. It's just insane. You cannot bar. The hell are you thinking? What attorney put that severance together? You cannot bar somebody from cooperating with law enforcement. It's called felony obstruction. There's more. Another, and one of the campaign top officials had a daughter hired onto the campaign staff, which she is now the 4th highest paid employee. These pay increases and other benefits often came at delicate moments. Okay, so it's not just after, it's like a very delicate moment that things are going down and you need to secure witnesses kind of thing, okay? So at delicate moments in the legal proceedings against Donald Trump, one aide who was given a great position on the board of Trump's social media company, for example, got the seat after he received a subpoena for the first time. Significant changes to staffers' work situations, such as bonuses, pay raises, firings, or promotions, can be evidence of a crime if they come outside the normal course of business. To prove witness tampering, prosecutors would need to show that perks or punishments were intended to influence testimony. But wait a minute, how are you going to do that? They're barred from cooperating with law enforcement. There's more. White collar defense lawyers say the situation Trump finds himself in the dual role of defendant and boss of many of the people who are primary witnesses to his alleged crimes is not uncommon. Their standard advice is not to provide any unusual benefits or penalties to such employees. Ideally, decisions about employees slated to give evidence should be made by an independent body, such as a board, not the boss who was under investigation. Even if the perks were not intended to influence witnesses, which they were, they could prove troublesome for Trump in any future trials. Prosecutors could point to the benefits to undermine the credibility of those aides on the witness stand. Quote, "It feels very shady, especially as you detect a pattern. I would worry about it having a corrupt influence." That's Barbara McQuaid, former U.S. attorney for the Eastern District of Michigan. But here's the thing. Severance packages, signed contracts saying they won't cooperate with law enforcement, higher paying job. It doesn't matter. Put them under oath. You will see what happens. They are not from Glenwood. Put them under oath. All right? There's more. In response to the questions from ProPublica, a Trump campaign official said that any raises or other benefits provided to witnesses were the result of their taking on more work due to the campaign or his legal cases heating up, or because they got new duties. Now, typically they do have to justify all of this. The official added that Trump himself is not involved in determining how campaign staffers are paid, and that compensation is entirely delegated to the campaign's top leaders. Quote, "The president is not involved in the decision-making process," the official said. I would argue Trump doesn't know what we're paid, okay? Campaign spokesperson said in the statement that, quote, "The 2024 Trump campaign is the most well-run and professional operation in political history. Any false assertion that we're engaging in any type of behavior that may be regarded as tampering is absurd and completely fake." I think Trump wrote that for him. That sounds like Donald to me, okay? It's not the best in the history of the world. There's more. Trump's attorney, David Warrington, okay, sent ProPublica cease and desist, demanding this article not be published. The letter warned that if the outlet and its reporters continue their reckless campaign of defamation, President Trump will evaluate all legal matters. Well, let's get it popping, because ProPublica released it. So what you gonna do? They've called you bluff. I would love for you all to sue any magazine so they can put your ass on deposition. That would be lovely. Put you under oath, because that's the right you have when you get sued. That's the reason why you all won't sue them. More. It's possible the benefits are more widespread. Payments from Trump campaign committees are disclosed publicly, but finances of his businesses are mostly private. So raises, bonuses, and other payments from those entities are not typically disclosed. ProPublica did not find evidence that Trump personally approved the pay increases or their benefits. And you likely will not find direct evidence, because these are conversations and not emails. There's more. But Trump famously keeps close watch over his operations and prides himself on penny pinching. One former aide compared working for the Trump organization, his large company, to a small family business where every employee, in some sense, reports to Mr. Trump. Former aides have said Trump demands unwavering loyalty from subordinates, even when their duties require actual independence. Okay, no real surprise, but here's the thing. Everyone seems to be on the take here, okay? So when you hear individuals talk about, there's no crime, we did nothing wrong. Now, mind you, multiple Trump surrogates have already pleaded guilty to felonies, all right? So there's that. But when they say these things, this creates incentive, additional incentive. So you already have the incentive of not wanting to be caught. Now you have this additional incentive. Here's why that's important. During a trial, all of this comes up. because you can utilize information or evidence in order to impeach a particular witness, to show that they may have, well, let's just say, not clean hands. This is allowable under the rules of evidence. So all of this may, in fact, be technically legal, because you cannot prove it is illegal right now. But it can come up, and I'm sure will come up during any trial in the future where these witnesses are called. All right, Sharon, thoughts here.
My thoughts are, if there's any fairness in the universe, it will come up and these people will all be gotten. It's that it's not even sophisticated what they're doing, because they don't even care to make it sophisticated. They just are doing the quiet part quite out loud and buying vacation homes, I suspect. It's disgusting mob-like behavior that only people who don't have my tan can get away with.
There you go. And naturally, they should be under investigation. We shall see if that's actually true right now. We got more on the other side. It's indisputable stick and stay.
You would never abuse power as retribution against anybody.
Except for day one. You're not going to be a dictator, are you? I said no, other than day one.
By locking up his enemies, by breaking all the rules, the courts, yeah, right. Them and what army?
This country needs a dictator. I hate to say that, but it's the truth.
It's the truth. From the Young Turks, Americans saying they want a dictator.
I'd rather have Donald Trump as a dictator for 4 years. I'm going dictator Trump for sure.
How crazy will his supporters go?
I'm going to be a dictator for one day.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. Here at TYT, we understand this. That's why we're not gonna price gouge you or use inflation as an excuse to raise our prices. A TYT membership is not your typical subscription, but basic membership is still just $4.99. So what do you get for that price? For starters, you're getting exclusive programming, unique, exclusive designs from Shop TYT, access to a members-only chat, giveaways, emojis, and so many other amazing perks. But most importantly, you're helping to make an impact. As a TYT member, you not only help us do the shows every day, but you drive real positive change in the process. In 2017, we helped to start Justice Democrats right here on TYT. That's a group that got 12 progressives elected into Congress. That's amazing, you did that. Your support also funds TYT's very own investigative reporting. Just recently, our reporters exposed the Fellowship Foundation and pressured lawmakers into boycotting that bigoted event. Isn't that amazing? We raised over $30,000 for Jackson, Mississippi, and delivered clean water to thousands of people in need. Our petitions, polls, and community of activists help keep the corruption of Washington in check. That's the impact of what just $4.99 a month from our members can do. And we're just getting started. Positive change doesn't occur overnight, but with your contribution, we can make it happen together.
I got pulled in. They told me, hey, listen, Cenk, we're insiders. We are the establishment. People in Washington tell me that they're concerned about your tone. We think that there's a better role for you, and it's not in 6 o'clock. The problem with the mainstream media is they're desperate to get access. They don't challenge the government. They don't challenge power. We're supposed to challenge the government. That's the role of the media.
Components that corrupt our politicians, I think, also corrupt mainstream media. It's really difficult for cable outlets to talk about things like income inequality, wealth inequality, when the advertisers that are funding their shows are the same corporations that want to ensure that the same system continues. People watch digital media or new media, they get a completely different message. They focus on the issues that matter or resonate more with the constituency. We need to know one thing. Is the corporate media incompetent?
Corporate media, I can't hear you. Establishment press, where are you? I can't hear you. But the media's position I am clear on. Everything is pro-war, so everything is just framed that way. In this case, I mean, war is inevitable, right? I mean, the defense contractors should get a couple more $1 trillion. You ready for the stunning results? Only 6% of people say they have a great deal of confidence in the press. Wakey, okay? Progressives don't like the media either. You know why? It's the corporate media. Corporate media sounds like a conspiracy. Wait. Who owns you? Multi-billion-dollar corporations, public corporations. The idea that we're corporate media because corporations own us. Yeah, that's how it works.
Join the Dragon Squad by becoming a YouTube channel member. Click the join button below or sign up on tyt.com/join to get access to fun emojis, a member-only chat, exclusive shop TYT designs, ad-free watching, and so many other amazing perks. Plus, you get bragging rights for being part of the coolest community on the internet and help us drive real positive change in the world. The Dragon Squad awaits, so join today.
All right, welcome back. Lot of show left. I'm going to read these amazing viewer comments, but let me remind everybody about memberships, all right? It is the oil in the engine, the gas in the tank, that's you, all right? You can become a member now. We would love your support as a member. tyt.com/team, or just hit that join button right there on YouTube. Very simple, very easy. All right, a lot of comments. I'll read as many as I can. Mo Fury. His brain must be one hell of a twisted mess. I hope he finds help before he ruins more people's lives. Var Ellis, you are picking sides, talking about the student reporting, saying, I don't want to pick sides here. I'm on nobody's side. The Jack says, endangering the class, there's no one there. I noticed it too. I'm like, what the students at? What class we're talking about here? And Donald James X, I think he is an example of someone who is rich beyond their means and can't handle it mentally. I think this much fame damaged him. You know, I don't know about that. I used to think that too, actually. I think what money does is, or fame and power, all of those things, it enhances who and what you already are. It makes more of an intense experience, but it is you. And if you have the great opportunity to work on your soul before you get those massive opportunities, then you probably do better. But if not, it just exposes you more. All right, and Gabby Mathis, thank you for this. Give the 5 indisputable subs. We appreciate that so much. James Thompson, thank you. Gifted 5 indisputable memberships as well. Thank you for that. And Storma says, went to college for 10 years. No professor has ever cared whether the student was late. Never give a damn. As a matter of fact, I had a conversation last year with my dean. My dean says, Doc, all of your students were present during the whole year? I said, yes, sir. This year, last year, year before last, all the way back to 2016. I've never had a student absent before. That's right. Sticking to it. All right, got something for you. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish a Karen would.
You want to call the police on them for having a barbecue on a Sunday.
I feel free. Back off!
I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
Oh, thank you, dude. Taking hits at me.
I didn't take a hit at you.
You did. We saw you. Hey.
I didn't swing at you. I was going to your phone to put it down.
Give me my
phone. Huck this in the water. What I should do. Go get my ball, dude.
Dude, why don't you go home? All right.
Hey,
we are trying to get.
This is you. We are trying to own this.
I am.
And hey,
like,
you know what?
I
didn't go for the hole. I put it right in front of the green.
You just you didn't even know I was here.
No, I knew you were.
Doesn't matter.
That's why I put it in front of the green. I didn't hit it at you.
Hey, the course is closed, man. Don't get us in trouble, asshole.
No, this guy's like being a.
Hi, yeah, this is Colin over at the Park City Golf.
I wasn't on the green.
I'm on the 15th hole, and we got some free-cut public golf.
Hey,
and,
you want to explain why? Let's explain why.
Because you hit the ball while he's on the green. Right on.
I hit it right there.
I saw the ball roll up onto the green.
Who gives a? But he doesn't get a. He can't hug my ball. That's stolen property.
I'm gonna start doing my job again, sir.
Public course. This is a park. This is a park. I pay taxpayers' dollars. What's paid in your wages.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's worse than we know. Put up the picture full mass here, okay? So this male Karen, who obviously is aggressive and seemingly violent at a golf course. He went there while it was closed, okay? It's not open. So the clip on Reddit had this caption. It says, posting this for a friend who works there and recorded the situation. Golf course was closed prior to the season opening. This guy was walking his dog and practicing some chips when he hit one a little too close to where the workers were. And so they tossed his ball into the water. Good for them. He shouldn't even be there. So then the male Karen proceeds to freak out. The man in the video lives in an apartment that basically is on the course. He now has a lifetime ban, and the city has also pressed charges. There you go. All right, now you live on a golf course that you can't even go to anymore because of your Karenicity, sir. I hope you learned a valuable lesson about engaging in behavior like this. Those individuals are actually very nice and very kind to you, given the smoke you brought to them at their place of employment. All right, these moments are opportunities for reflection, sir. I recommend you take it. Sharing thoughts here.
Yeah, and it could have been an opportunity for him to get his ass beat, like in Happy Gilmore. Okay, right. Remember when Happy Gilmore threw blows with Bob Barker? All they did, like you said, was say, you know, you're not supposed to be here. They didn't charge or do anything like that. And then, so yeah, lifetime ban. Karen's going to Karen.
That's right. They're going to Karen. Okay. Speaking of Karen, Marjorie Taylor Greene says Fauci needs to be in jail. I mean, she's really upset. I think this whole Trump thing has a lot of people, frazzled. Here it is.
When the NIH and these government agencies, most powerful agencies in our country, are recommending medical suggestions and advice and making up guidelines like 6 feet distancing and masking of children. Do you think that's appropriate? Do the American people deserve to be abused like that, Mr. Fauci? Because you're not doctor, you're Mr. Fauci in my few minutes. No, I don't need your answer. I want to talk about this right here.
Mr. Chairman,
objection. I reclaim my time. I reclaim my time, Mr. Raskin.
Gentlelady was suspended.
Mr. Chairman,
of order.
Just in terms of the rules of decorum, are we allowed to deny that a doctor is a doctor just because we don't want him to be a doctor?
Yes, because in my time, that man does not deserve to have a license. As a matter of fact, it should be revoked, and he belongs in prison.
Was suspended. The gentlelady should recognize the doctor as a doctor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is this what we have become? Is this what we have devolved into? No decorum.
You know what? We can do that hearing about the poor men that were injected with syphilis, because I support you in that. That's horrific. And this government that does things like that to Americans doesn't have decorum to the American people.
Mr. Chairman,
gentleman is out of
point of regular order.
Put up the picture. Now, Marjorie, I'm gonna need you and Matt Gaetz not to snort cocaine before coming to these hearings. Let's go to the second video.
Do you represent science, Mr. Fauci? Yes or no?
No, that's not a yes or no.
Yes, it's a yes or no. But this is science.
What does dogs have to do with anything that we're talking about today?
These are scientific experiments.
I've instructed her to address him as a doctor.
I'm not addressing him as doctor. We should be writing a criminal referral because you should be prosecuted for crimes against humanity. You belong in prison, Dr. Fauci.
Whenever somebody gets up, whether it's a news media, Fox News does it a lot, or it's somebody in the Congress who gets up and makes a public statement that I'm responsible for the deaths of X number of people because of policies or some crazy idea that I created the virus, immediately, it's like clockwork, the death threats go way up. So that's the reason why I'm still getting death threats. When you have performances like that unusual performance by Marjorie Taylor Greene in today's hearing. Those are the kind of things that drive up the death threats, because there are a segment of the population out there that believe that kind of nonsense.
I mean, Dr. Fauci was kind in his relaying of what happened. You know, she was bad-ish. It was uncomfortable to watch because even her own leadership could not enforce the basic rules of the committee. Well, that's when you go ahead and suspend the member for violation of committee decorum. Let's have a vote right now. We're going to suspend the member. You can go ahead and leave. If you don't want to leave, Sergeant will take you out. It's called leadership. You don't allow somebody like Marjorie Taylor Greene to hijack the purpose of the meeting, to disrespect the witness by violating committee decorum. It's already a difficult situation. All right, Monday's hearing quickly deteriorated into partisan attacks, with Dr. Fauci facing the most hostility from Greene. She refused to address him as doctor, as if that's substantive. Called for him to be prosecuted for crimes against humanity, and he belongs in prison. Now, I'm going to tell you this, all right? There's a little rule. I didn't know about this until I went to law school. But a person in Congress, they have complete immunity from liability for defamation and slander while doing their official business, called in the well. So they can say whatever they want to say about anybody, private citizen, public citizen, no citizen, it doesn't matter. They are not able to be held accountable for their words. And so that's why you see so many people loosey-goosey with how they refer to people, all right? So during Monday's hearing, Dr. Fauci described the death threats he and his family had received while director of the NIAID in response to a question from Democratic Representative Debbie Dingell. Fauci said he received, quote, everything from harassment by email, text, letters of myself, my wife, my 3 daughters, end quote. He added that, quote, there have been credible death threats leading to the arrest of 2 individuals. Credible death threats means someone who was clearly on their way to kill me. And it's required by having protective services essentially all the time, end quote. Democrats who largely praised and defended Dr. Fauci during their questioning pushed back on Greene's treatment and of the former agency head. Raskin, the ranking member of the Oversight Committee, asked, quote, in terms of the rules of decorum, are we allowed to deny that a doctor is a doctor just because we don't want him to be a doctor? Representative Robert Garcia, Democrat out of California, said it is completely unacceptable to deny Dr. Fauci, who is a respected member of the medical community, his title. He's not respected. I'm not addressing him as Dr. Greene responded. The COVID subcommittee chair even stepped in to tell Greene that she should, this is a Republican, she should recognize the doctor as a doctor, okay? Is this what we have become, okay? Is this what we have devolved into? No decorum. Our dear brother, Mufumi, representative, Democrat, former civil rights head, lamented of Greene's comments. Also Representative Debbie Dingell, Democrat, attempted to have Greene's comments stricken from the record, which would have restricted her from speaking during the hearing. Here's the double down.
I mean, everything I said is correct. It's how the American people feel. It's what we know to be a fact. It's all the evidence has been proven true. We have Jamie Raskin in there accusing us of worshiping Trump, worshiping as a convicted felon. He is a convicted well, yeah, so is George Floyd. And everybody, and you all too, the media worship George Floyd. Democrats worship George Floyd. There were riots burning down the country over George Floyd. I worship God. God. And Jesus is my savior. I don't worship President Trump. And I'm really sick and tired of the annex I have to deal with constantly from the Democrats. So that's what we just went through in there. They can attack my character all day long. What's his face in there? Whoever was talking last was calling me insane, but yet we can't say, oh, they're attacking my character. The Democrats don't have anything. They're responsible for the lockdowns, forced vaccinations, kids being forced to stay home, people committing suicide, and all the horrors that this country lived through during COVID. Fauci belongs in prison. He should be tried for mass murder, and he should be tried for crimes against humanity. That's how I feel after that hearing. That's how the American people feel.
Ma'am, I feel like you need to go to rehab. This cannot be just your reaction to life. There's something else happening here. So it has to be. I mean, you're already uncouth. We already knew that. The people who elected you know that. But this is different. This is a whole different dimension that you've gone into. It's quite sad. Now, understand, the whole reason Dr. Fauci is there is because he is what they consider to be a qualified expert. They have to go through a process qualification in order to provide expert testimony, which means the very reason why he's there is because of his credentials as a doctor. That's why he's there. And that's why the Republicans even said, you should make sure you refer to him as doctor. That's his credentialing. That's the reason we qualified him to be a witness. Without that, we can't qualify him. I would have said that if I was Fauci, I'm not a doctor, well, that means I didn't meet the qualification standard. Have a good day. Thank you. All right, Sharon, thoughts here.
She's an nincompoop, uncouth and cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. She is a feral pigeon, okay? Yeah. A street pigeon who belongs in a concrete nest. This is enough, okay? How much of my money went to that hearing with this pigeon? Yeah. Oh, you said she's immune, like she can't be, nobody can sue her, right? But they can probably sue me for calling her a pigeon, okay? A feral pigeon, Doc. Now, I'm sorry.
It's
I know
wild.
you run an upscale show, but I don't know what,
am
I supposed to say?
No, I think that's a professional analysis of what you just saw.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I agree. I concur. Okay, we got more on the other side. It's indisputable stick and stay.
Every day, the Young Turks delivers 2 hours of solid, fact-based, timely news and progressive commentary on all the day's most important stories. We keep our viewers informed while also providing perspective and insight on the news we cover, so you understand not only what's happening, but also what's happening behind the scenes, the stories behind the stories.
We play musical chairs and put these children in one awful detention facility to the next. That's what's happening at the border.
The things that got him banned, he's still spreading. So presumably, I think it's reasonable to say that if you allow him back on the website, he's going to do it again.
Any legal voter that we deem not willing to vote for my side shouldn't vote because it'll replace me that's supposed to vote for my side. That's not how voting works. That's not how democracy works.
And while many people following today's political news can get discouraged about the direction of the nation and the world, that's not us. At TYT, we're genuinely optimistic about the future, and with good reason. Today, wide majorities of Americans agree with our progressive stances on issues ranging from healthcare and education to climate, immigration, and wages. The rising generation of young people are also overwhelmingly progressive in their political beliefs and policy objectives, and they're increasingly flexing their muscle as voters and activists to demand change from our elected officials. The traditional mainstream media is mostly AWOL. They, along with the government and many other cherished institutions, have been captured by corporate interests. Audiences sense that they're not getting the whole story or even the truth from once trusted outlets, whether broadcast and cable TV news networks or national newspapers and magazines. The antidote is the Young Turks. Unlike mainstream corporate outlets, we're not beholden to corporate advertisers, to defense contractors, to Wall Street, or to Big Pharma, and we don't carry water for the Republican or Democratic parties. So watch us Monday to Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, and join the thousands of progressives around the globe who tune in every day for TYT's unmatched, award-winning content and see what it's like to experience a news organization that only answers to you.
I don't care if you're Christian. In fact, I will fight for you to have your religious liberty and practice your Christianity. I believe in that. I don't believe in Christianity, which means that you do not get to dictate the way I live my life based on your religion. I don't care what the Bible says. You have every right in the world. All those women who identify with your religion have every right in the world to not get an abortion, to not take birth control, but they do not have the right to dictate my life and what I decide to do with my body. I don't care about your goddamn religion. I'm so tired of having nonstop conversations about what the Bible says. You live your life in the way that you interpret the Bible. Again, I don't care, but you don't get to take the Bible and tell me, well, the Bible says this in this chapter, in this verse. I don't care. I don't care, I don't believe in it, and I have the right, based on our Constitution, to not believe in it.
Join the Dragon Squad by becoming a YouTube channel member. Click the join button below or sign up on tyt.com/join to get access to fun emojis, a member-only chat, exclusive shop TYT designs, ad-free watching, and so many other amazing perks. Plus, you get bragging rights for being part of the coolest community on the internet and help us drive real, positive change in the world. The Dragon Squad awaits, so join today.
All right, welcome back. A lot of show left. Let me read a few of these amazing comments. Jojo_Dragon. Why didn't Dr. Fauci just call her Congresswoman Butch Body? Man, we miss key moments, don't we? I mean, you are absolutely correct. Mo Fury, I know what Dr. Fauci said, but that face said, my God, this potato chip has kids. Hilarious. Gabby Mathis and James Thompson, thank you again. All right. I'm about to tell you a story, a really horrific thing. You see that guy there? Well, he killed his own son by forcing him to run on a treadmill until he died. Put up the picture for a mass. New Jersey. Mr. Christopher Greger was found guilty of aggravated manslaughter and child endangerment in the death of his own 6-year-old son. Corey was his name. He forced Corey to do treadmill workouts that were holistically abusive. Greger, 31, was initially charged with first-degree murder and endangerment of the welfare of a child stemming from surveillance video from the gym in his apartment complex that showed Greger forcing his son to run at high rates of speed on the treadmill. The video shows Greger continually increasing the speed on the treadmill, which forced his son to fall off the exercise equipment 6 times. He didn't care. Get back on. Run again. Get back on. Run again. Get back on. Run again. As prosecutors played the surveillance video, Lento stated that Corey is completely flat on his face on the treadmill, but his father didn't stop increasing the speed and did nothing to help his son. The prosecution argued that Corey died from blunt force trauma caused by injuries from the treadmill, citing an autopsy report and lacerations to his heart and liver. Prosecutors portrayed Greg as a cruel and grossly negligent father who refused to help his son even as he lay flat on the machine, instead increasing the speed on the poor child. Quote, what kind of father would do this to their son? Prosecutor Christine Lento asked the jury during those closing arguments. Gregory is set to be sentenced August 2nd, faces a maximum sentence of 40 years in prison. Now, here's the thing. This is premeditated malice, in my opinion. Direct murder should have been affixed. I believe he did this intentionally. Mens rea was formed. He knew or should have known that severe injury or death would come to his own child. But they went with a manslaughter sentence and with an enhancer for child endangerment, which allows for a maximum penalty of 40 years. Typically, people never get the maximum. He needs to get it. He needs to get the maximum. The other evidence, not really germane to the trial because it would unfairly bias the defendant, should be taken into context during sentencing, however, because this is a person who is of depraved mindset to do this to his own baby. All right, so sad, man. Sharon, thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know what's so difficult about throwing the book at charges-wise a monster. This is a monster, and they've announced themselves to the world as such just by the circumstances of this horrific death. Children have to matter.
That's right. And we prove they matter or don't matter by the policies we engage in, especially when it's the justice system and the victim is a baby. Okay, all right. Hell of a thing. Spirit Airlines. In the news again, employees jumped on a customer. Here it is.
Let's go.
All right, Julie. All right, Julie. All right.
Get up because this. Get up. Let me get on. Yo, let me get up. Police. Call the police. Nah, call the police. Stop playing with me. Oh, y'all about to get sued.
Or was the hit at the end, was that necessary, sir? The man was subdued. Calm down, little man, all right? Everything was over at that point. Put it up. Okay, twisted turns, obviously. Cell phone video caught the moment an argument escalated into a full-fledged, beating. A passenger was the victim. 4 Spirit airline workers at the Baltimore airport. Now, there's some nuance here that's worth noting from Spirit Airlines. So TMZ reports Tuesday that the fight happened at Baltimore Washington International Airport. The video shows one man who appears to be a passenger at a gate arguing with a group of 4 employees standing at the check-in counter. It's unclear what led to the altercation, but it escalated after the 4 workers walked from behind the counter and surrounded the passenger. Now, at that time, you see the individual put up his hands in order to engage in seemingly mutual combat. The passenger puts his hand up, fist up, ready to fight. Let's go. You're going to jail today, the man says. One employee charges him, throws a punch in his direction, and then grabs and holds him while his co-worker started kicking and hitting the man. The worker who grabbed the man tackled him to the floor and held him there for a while, appearing to try to restrain his movements. Viewers can see another worker approach them and punch the man while he's being held on the ground. Totally unnecessary. After a few moments, the situation calms and the worker lets go of the man. The Maryland Airport Authority confirmed that officers were notified about the fight. They said 5 people were involved, one of whom suffered minor injuries. A Spirit representative told TMZ that the 4 workers seen fighting, were not direct employees of the airline. They were suspended from that third-party company they work for while an investigation is ongoing, okay? So Spirit Airlines is like, they really don't even work for us for real. It's called contract employment, okay? It's pretty normative. A lot of even like medical facilities, the doctors technically are not employees of the hospital. They're contract workers. Why? Oh, so that the company can't be sued directly. Only the contract or contractor, the agency that contracts can. It creates an additional level of protection for the big company, unless you can prove that the big company knew individuals were dangerous and decided not to say anything, and then it violates or it pierces that barrier. Okay, well, what can I say? Investigation is ongoing. Don't know what the guy said to get everybody rowdy. That part has not been revealed. But I do know little man that hit him at the end, definitely uncalled for, once somebody was restrained. And listen, next time, just let the guy in the white shirt handle it. Look, he could have did that all by himself. He didn't need any help from the video. All right, Sharon, thoughts here?
I know you say they're independent contractors and you know the law, of course, much better than I, but anytime you mention Spirit Airlines, it takes a certain kind of employee to be vetted for these coveted positions, if you will, and passengers too. Passengers, they're strapped and ready to go too. Oftentimes you've covered it on this program, Doc. So I just think that it's to be expected, okay, when you mention Spirit. That's the Spirit, apparently.
Yeah. And listen, I don't know who was the aggressor. We don't know any of that information yet. But we do know somebody put their hands up and said, let's go. And some people decided to go. All right, we'll bring updates as they come. We got more on the other side. Indisputable, stick and stay.
Our system is inherently rigged against the will of the people.
They have 50% of the vote, and in a democracy, they should have 50% of the seats.
But if you live in an insanely gerrymandered district, your vote functionally doesn't matter.
We drew the map in a way that even though we get 50% of the vote, we're gonna get 13 out of the 18 seats.
You don't actually have the ability to translate the will of the voters in your area into actual government policy.
They should not be allowed to gerrymander these districts. We should actually have a democracy.
Been honest with him, like, yeah, I was upset with you and I shouldn't have done it, but instead I was like, I'm just trying to protect my engagement ring.
At TYT, our mission is to boldly pursue truth, challenge the establishment, and drive positive change. At a time when corporate capture of our media, our government, and our politics is nearly absolute, everyday working people need a champion to fight for them and to push back against the powerful interests that threaten our democracy itself. At TYT, we're proudly progressive and call out corruption and duplicity wherever we see it, from Republicans, Democrats, or anyone else. And unlike mainstream news media outlets, we're not beholden to corporate advertisers, to defense contractors, to Wall Street, or to Big Pharma. We only have to answer to our audience, and for nearly 2 decades, we've accomplished that by delivering honest, timely, and insightful perspectives on the day's news without fear or favor or concern for whose toes we might step on or which powerful elites we might offend. And while we're super serious about the news, we also manage to do it in a way that is fun and lighthearted. We can do this together and serve our audience, and yes, have fun doing it.
All right, welcome back. Okay, great comments. Stephanie Haynes, thank you so much for that, Stephanie. Says, oh my God, Marjorie Taylor Greene worships God, Jesus. Bro must have flown the coop to get away from her crazy tale. Doc, Sharon, you two are always the dynamic duo of news. Thank you so much for that compliment. And then the Jack member for 9 months says, Marjorie only recognizes wizards. Not doctors, but magical little people that can cure COVID with bleach and light. All right, court blocks grant program for Black women. Told you this was coming, right? We had a whole conversation about it, interviewed a young lady about this right here on Indisputable. So according to The Root, there has been another blow to affirmative action efforts nationwide. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit has stopped the Atlanta-based Fearless Fund from administering $20,000 to Black women business owners. The decision was made on Monday, June 3rd, following ongoing opposition to the Fearless Fund, spearheaded by conservative activist Edward Bloom, who insisted that the program is likely racially discriminatory. Black women received less than 1% of the $215 billion administered in venture capital funding last year, even though they are the #1 growing demographic of business owners in America. After the Supreme Court abolished race-conscious college admissions last year, Bloom, a staunch opponent of affirmative action, decided to go after it in a private sector manner. However, U.S. District Court Judge Thomas Thrash Jr., who was appointed by President Bill Clinton, initially ruled that the Fearless Fund's grant program was the kind of free speech protected under the First Amendment. However, the 11th Circuit panel disagreed, with 2 out of the 3 judges being appointed by Trump. The Fearless Fund is currently evaluating their options, but this has certainly set the precedent for similar venture capital funds going forward. The latest development is a major win for the right's attempts to eradicate DEI programs in corporate America. The appeals court ultimately disagreed with a federal judge who ruled in September that the lawsuit was unlikely to prevail based on the First Amendment. Now, let me say this. When the affirmative action hearing came down, when the affirmative action ruling came down from the U.S. Supreme Court, I wrote an op-ed about it. I encourage you to go to that op-ed when you can, because in the op-ed, I'm not only arguing against the conservative or conservatives, especially Clarence Thomas, who wrote a summary that wasn't even a summary. I also had to make an argument against progressives who agreed with the ruling. You see, that's a checker move when you agree with your opponents on oppressive policy, but we're playing chess. Politics is a game of chess. Checkers, you use power to gain position. In chess, you use position to gain power. And I said, this ruling positions our country to eliminate all equity and inclusion programs, from scholarships to grants and everything else. I put it right in the language of the op-ed. Sometimes we think things are cause and effect. Sometimes things are more so energetic reactions that continue to happen over and over and over again. All right, put them up full mast. Alfonso David, president and CEO of the Global Black Economic Forum and the attorney. He's an attorney representing the Fearless Fund. God bless him. Released a statement about the court's decision. Quote, the majority ruled that an 1866 law designed to provide economic freedom to newly freed slaves actually prohibits the Fearless Foundation from providing grants to Black women. We disagree. As the dissenting judge pointed out, the discrimination in access to funding the Fearless Foundation seeks to address is long-standing and irrefutable. The statement continued, this is the first court decision in the 150-year history of the post-Civil War civil rights that has halted private charitable support for any racial or ethnic group. The dissenting judge, the district court, and other courts have agreed with us that these types of claims should not prevail. This is not the final outcome of this case. It is a preliminary ruling without full factual record. We are evaluating our options. And listen, if you want to change some things, make sure you are involved, all right? Because they coming. They are coming. Okay, Sharon, thoughts here.
Yeah, I just wish we could just flip the script here, just like the real affirmative action when it comes to getting into these prestigious colleges and universities is familial ties, nepotism, the like, because that's what's really going on. So let's end all of it. And let's just go merit-based and let's see what happens then.
Yeah,
let's see if you really do that. And everybody has a fair opportunity, which is utopia, is not going to happen. Then what would happen? Let's just see.
Yeah, they say, affirmative action not that bad after all.
Right.
That's what would happen.
Right.
All right. So why does this keep happening? Why? Teacher uses the N-word, does a mock slave auction with students, put it up full mass. How many times do we have to report on the same thing, different people? A Boston area teacher in Massachusetts has now been placed on leave for holding a mock slave auction during a history lesson and using the N-word in a 5th grade classroom. The incidents occurred this year at the Margaret A. Neary School, the elementary school in Southborough, and have brought fresh attention to how slavery is taught in U.S. schools. Now, I want to say this because the context is always, we just try to teach history here. We just want to teach history. But I don't hear you all doing this about the struggle of Jewish people. I don't hear you utilizing the word that would be adversarial to Jews or the LGBTQ community. Every time we report on the story like this, is always about black folks, slavery, and the N-word. But what about those histories? Do you teach it the same way? No, you don't. You wouldn't dare. There's more. Superintendent, put him up. Gregory L. Martineau said in a letter to parents, the teacher, who has not been identified, held, quote, an impromptu slave auction. That's a hell of a letter to get as a parent. An impromptu what? Slave auction. January. 2 children of color were made to stand as the classroom discussed their physical attributes. The letter said the incident happened during a history lesson on the economy of Southern colonies. Simulations or role plays when teaching about historical atrocities or trauma not appropriate. These teaching methods are not to be used, the superintendent wrote, adding that such teaching methods trivialize the experience of the victims and are disproportionately traumatic for students of color. The Massachusetts teacher also used the N-word in the 5th grade classroom in April while reading and discussing a book that was not included in the school's curriculum. The superintendent said in the letter, the book also did not contain the N-word according to the letter. You just used it, just put it in themselves. After the matter was brought to the school's attention, the teacher called out the student who reported the incident in class and said it was not acceptable. Shortly after, the public schools, Northborough and Southborough, launched an investigation and put the educator on paid leave. The letter said, adding that personnel matters will remain confidential. The superintendent apologized to the parents, acknowledged the missteps. The school will implement a series of reforms, he said, including a professional development plan focusing on culturally competent teaching methods. Or just stop hiring racist teachers. That's a good start too. Superintendent also noted in a letter to the school's principal, Kathleen Valenti, was also put on a 10-day paid administrative leave from May 6th to 16th. She should have been fired too because there was evidence she was aware of the N-word situation. A report by the Southern Poverty Law Center published in 2018 on the challenges of teaching the history of slavery in the United States identifies simulations as part of the problem. Such techniques, the report said, cannot begin to convey the horror of slavery and risk trivializing the subject in the minds of students. And it just never happens when they teach other historical lessons. All right, we'll bring updates as they come. Sharon, thoughts here?
I think that the teachers should have been gone. She should not be entrusted to educate anyone because she has an agenda and it's a twisted one, if you will, and they should ask her about that. She shouldn't be anywhere near students.
Not at all. I mean, you're making up the N-word and it's not even in the context of what you're reading. Okay, you just want to say the N-word.
No,
Sharon.
Counseling.
Yeah, always a pleasure. Tell people how they can follow you and check out your great work.
At Sharon Reed Live across all platforms in the Black Network as well. I hope you'll check out the work there. And Rebel HQ just produced another video today, so I hope you'll check it out.
Absolutely. Always love your work. Always appreciate your partnership. Thank you. We got more on the other side. Bullpen is next. Stick and stay.
Our system is inherently rigged against the will of the people.
They have 50% of the vote. And in a democracy, they should have 50% of the seats.
But if you live in an insanely gerrymandered district, your vote functionally doesn't matter.
We drew the map in a way that even though we get 50% of the vote, we're gonna get 13 out of the 18 seats.
You don't actually have the ability to translate the will of the voters in your area into actual government policy.
They should not be allowed to gerrymander these districts. We should actually have a democracy.
I've been honest with him. Like, yeah, I was upset with you and I shouldn't have done it. But instead I was like, I'm just trying to protect my engagement ring.
At TYT, our mission is to boldly pursue truth, challenge the establishment, and drive positive change. At a time when corporate capture of our media, our government, and our politics is nearly absolute, everyday working people need a champion to fight for them and to push back against the powerful interests that threaten our democracy itself. At TYT, we're proudly progressive and call out corruption and duplicity wherever we see it, from Republicans, Democrats, or anyone else. And unlike mainstream news media outlets, we're not beholden to corporate advertisers, to defense contractors, to Wall Street, or to Big Pharma. We only have to answer to our audience, and for nearly 2 decades, we've accomplished that by delivering honest, timely, and insightful perspectives on the day's news without fear or favor or concern for whose toes we might step on or which powerful elites we might offend. And while we're super serious about the news, we also manage to do it in a way that is fun and lighthearted. We can do this together and serve our audience, and yes, have fun doing it.
All right, welcome back. Let's get it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the bullpen. Yep, I got a Baltimore police officer, retired, and also United States Air Force Master Sergeant, retired. Remarkable person. We're going to talk about some realities that have happened in policing. Thank you, dear brother. We appreciate you being on the show today.
No problem.
All right, let me first go to something that happened in Florida. Here it is. An airman, a senior airman, was shot by a deputy in Florida. When the first video came out and the sheriff said, oh, he did not cover the peephole and he was not at the wrong address. I said, something doesn't sound right about that, because why would a trained airman who's FaceTiming a young lady say, I can't see who's knocking on my door like this? She says, the way he said it, it was as if the deputy was covering the peephole. Well, he wasn't covering the peephole. He was standing away, hiding from it. Do you see the game the sheriff was playing when he did that?
Sheriff's office, open the door. Sheriff's office, open the door. Step out. Drop the gun! Drop the gun! It's over there. Drop the gun! 312, shots fired. Suspect down. Do not move!
There was no time for him to drop the weapon that was a non-threat. It was on his side. The deputy is trained to only point his gun when there is an active threat that may need or may warrant a gun. The senior airman is trained to only point his gun when there is an active threat where it may warrant a gun. Both of these gentlemen received the same mandate in their training. One of them adhered to their mandate. That's the one who's dead. Isn't that something? We also reported not too long ago on a police officer who arrested a suspect, patted him down, put him in the police cruiser, and then proceeded to shoot at the man in the police cruiser because an acorn fell, he said. He thought the man was shooting at him. How? He's handcuffed. You just patted him down. All right, to talk about this and more, we have Leon Taylor, Master Sergeant, United States Air Force, retired over 20 years of active duty service. He began his Air Force career providing armed security responses to Air Force weapons systems. Upon retirement, he began his career in law enforcement and is now a retired Baltimore police officer. Thank you for being on Indisputable. How are you?
No problem, Doc. I'm good.
Let's talk about some of these nuances, because you and I had a conversation prior, and you brought out some amazingly remarkable things that I didn't even think of. So I want to start with what happened in Florida. According to the latest report, the individual who shot and killed the airman, well, that cop has been fired. The sheriff determined it was excessive force. However, sheriff decided not to arrest him, is allowing another investigation, the state authority in Florida, to do the investigation, which is insane to me. But what are some of the things that happened there that you see as a retired police officer now that should have been done that may not have been done?
Well, I think the reason he was, standing at the doorway and then moving back in a tactical position was because he didn't have a backup officer there, which I also didn't understand. I mean, you're going to a situation, if it warrants you going up there, then you should be able to handle it. You should be mentally prepared to handle whatever comes once you knock and announce your presence. You should be able to handle whatever comes after that. There should be no surprises and nothing you're not ready for.
Okay, so that's one element. So you're saying he should have waited, called backup, as would have been protocol in many cases, especially when you really believe there's an active threat. But even verification of the threat was not there. When he said suspect down, what suspect?
No.
So let's talk about that. Was there a suspect here?
None that I saw. I mean, there was a victim, but not a suspect. Then if it's a suspect, then you have to tell me what he was a suspect.
Yeah.
What was criminal act? There had to be something. So suspect down, it's beyond me. I don't really understand that one. The other thing I didn't understand in viewing the video was that the two people that reported the incident in the first place apparently had a lot of credibility because they weren't really questioned. He really didn't know. And they admitted that they weren't sure which apartment it was. And instead of using his dispatcher to run a CAD or computer-aided dispatch history and find out for that address in the past, say, 30 days, how many disturbance calls or how many domestic violence calls had been dispatched and what was the resolution. I mean, he might have found a wealth of information that would have helped him make a better decision and go to the right apartment, most importantly.
Let me make sure we highlight what you just said, because you're telling me that he had the ability, investigative ability, to call back to the precinct or to use his radio and say, hey, let me know what's happened at this particular address in the last 30 days, just so he can have some information about if calls have been made, if there's been some history of domestic violence or whatever. How long would that have taken to get to him?
Not very long, because as soon as he gave his location at that address, the address should have already been pulled up. I mean, the dispatcher knows where you are at all times, or should, if you're following proper protocol. What I don't understand is why that wasn't done, because the reporting people have no idea. And I think one of them even stated that there had been an incident 2 weeks ago, but it wasn't important enough to call the police. So that would kind of give me pause to think that, okay, maybe this isn't what it's made out to be. Oftentimes calls are not what they're initially referred to dispatch as. That's the difference. I mean,
Sure.
you should be ready for anything.
So
routine calls can become emergencies. Emergency calls become routine. Then you have to have that flexibility, that mental flexibility to roll with whatever happens.
when the airman answered the door, he has the right to bear arms. I thought Floridians loved their right to bear arms. He is a legal carry, all right? He has legal carry protection. He's a citizen, constitutional rights intact. He answers his door, he's in his domain.
You would think all that was true.
Well, that's the allegation, right? That's the alleged reality of Black people, that we have all our constitutional rights. He answers the door with his gun near his side, as he's trained to do. There's no threat. But the deputy takes his gun down and just starts shooting immediately. Now, to me, I believe police officers should be held to a higher standard of care, kind of like medical doctors or psychiatrists, et cetera. When you have particular training, they don't hold you to a lower standard of care. They hold you to a higher standard of care, higher standard of societal responsibility. So the deputy starts shooting immediately, okay? I need you, because you have this really unique career background where you have significant background in the service and also in law enforcement domestically. Two men, same mandate. You can't pull his gun and point it at someone without an active threat. The airman did not see a threat. He saw a police officer. But the police officer did not see a constitutionally holding, pistol holding citizen. That's perfectly legal. Why?
Correct. I think it has to do with a lot of the political rhetoric. I mean, all you have to do is look at social media, social influence campaigns. It can create the illusion that police officers are always under threat, or that certain people are threats. It's been proven time and time again. There have been cases of officers of color being mistaken for suspects. I know what it's like to work plain clothes and be wearing the same thing as the suspect. And you're running, you have your badge exposed, but you're trying to take the t-shirt off or do whatever. And I hope that no one kind of makes a mistake, as has happened before on, too many occasions involving officers of color. And that's a dimension of policing that is not widely known. I'll take that back. It is widely known, but it's not widely talked about.
Let's talk about it, brother, because I have off-record conversations with Black police officers all the time. Some of them end up being whistleblowers to Indisputable with my production team, because they can't get anywhere with their internal affairs investigator, et cetera. So they have to still get this stuff exposed, and they're good people just like you. But the reality is they face racism inside of those departments. They face significant racism inside of those departments.
Yeah.
Why
this is true, but
about more? Why? Because you all have unions as well. Why don't those unions talk about it more?
True, but this is much bigger than a union problem. This is an America problem.
Yep.
I've had police called on me while I was an active officer, carrying off duty, as is my right to do so. Weapons in the holster, badges next to the weapon. I've been down to pick something up. I think I was at the airport sending my kids off. And a woman at the airport sees the weapon, doesn't see the badge, calls for police. Police respond. They point me out, and that's him, that's him. And fortunately, it was an officer that I knew. And I literally had to go over, and he had to explain to her that police officers come in all shapes, sizes, and colors. And she looked at me like it had never dawned on her.
It's you.
Weapon, threat. That's the last thing. I've gone to accident scenes, been chased away by the fire department, didn't see the badge. So again, with the senior airman and this deputy, what did he see? Because obviously, if you look at the fact that he was pretty much assigned to an elite unit with an elite mission, where everyone, the missions they go on, he was in charge of more firepower than this deputy ever dreamed of.
Right.
And maintain discipline and work as part of a team. This man had funeral services and memorials all over the world because he's a part of a very elite, small community. So my question is, what did he see when he opened the door?
There you go.
That made him feel threatened. It boggles the mind. And again, this is coming from a police department in a state that supports Second Amendment carry rights, and I believe stand your ground. And
he was the wrong color, brother. Come on, man. He was the wrong color, brother. I know you don't want to.
Well, this is America.
It's America. So this is America. You can't dismiss that.
I will let people draw their own conclusions. But I will tell you that for me, it is a real point of contention that people are safer storming the United States Capitol than they are opening the door of their home after going on combat missions and winning medals, opening the door to their own home with a pistol at their side for their protection. Now, we have states where there's open carry. This sort of thing doesn't happen. We've had situations on social media where people will carry a 15 type weapon just to get a response out of police. Again, there's no threat. I'm trying to understand what it is about these situations where you can't eat ice cream and sit on your couch. You can't do that. In the case of Botham Jean and the officer Amber Geiger, who thought that he was an intruder in her home. So she felt immediately threatened. I can't tell you how much that is a sticking point with me, because if I thought at this point in time, in that department, in that jurisdiction, if I saw an officer who was in dire need of help, I would not help him because they have a bad track record of mistaking anything of color for a target.
And you make some remarkable points, in particular, that when you said it's safer to storm the Capitol. I mean, these individuals tried to overthrow democracy. Storm the Capitol. It's safer to do that than to answer your door as a black man with a gun on your side that's constitutionally your right. Brother,
while defending the same Constitution.
While defending it.
That's the hard part.
Yeah.
While defending, and I cannot understand what it was like. Part of my duties in the Air Force towards the end was giving mortuary briefings when an airman would pass away on active duty. And I can't imagine. You really have to put yourself in this woman's shoes for a minute. My son deployed. He's Air Force. I can't imagine what it's like to hope and pray your son comes home safe, which not everybody that deploys, they do, right? He comes home safe and he's cut down at home. You can survive combat, but you can't survive exercising your constitutional rights in the same United States that you're protecting the Constitution. So on one hand, you have people that don't want, that they interfere with the peaceful change of power in this country, right? We're sworn to protect the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, not allegiance to a president, all enemies, foreign and domestic. He gets cut down. They walk away.
Man, brother, we got to have you back on the show. We appreciate your leadership. Let's do an analysis of some of the cases we've covered on Indisputable. And what I would like you to do is provide us with the protocols that should have been in place, could have been in place, things that could have been done. And maybe as we put that information to the forefront, a lot of police officers watch this show. And a lot of police officers are fans of Indisputable. Man, I hear from these cats all the time. Very proud of their leadership, trying to transform the narratives inside of the departments and obviously by extension in the community. So dear brother, we thank you. We're gonna have you back on the show. We appreciate all that you do, Sergeant.
All right, take care, Doc.
Yes, sir, you too. All right, remember, take care of yourself, take care of each other, take care of the planet. Remember, the truth is always indisputable.